There doesn't seem to be much local love for proposals to create a biomass plant alongside the A30 Sherborne Causeway.
Please save Thomas Hardy's Blackmore Vale for the future generations to enjoy. This is going to ruin the quality of life for everyone living on the Sherborne Causeway, especially in the summer when the windows are open with industrial noise, flies and smells.
And it was 3 no's in a row after Shaftesbury Town, Gillingham Town and on Tuesday Motcombe Parish councillors discussed the planning application. 55 people packed Motcombe's Memorial Hall on Tuesday night. The Parish Council had to get more chairs from next door, keen to let the council know the strength of opposition to proposals to create the anaerobic digester at Wessex Farm. It's a partnership between international player Canadivia Innova and Gloucestershire-based First Estate Biomethane. They say it could create gas for 8,500 homes annually. The plant would collect feedstock from local farms, including chicken manure, and bring it in by tractor or HGV. It would be stored in a sealed clamp to avoid smells getting out. The organic material would break down in a digester tank, creating biogas and a nutrient-rich digestate, which farmers could use. The biogas would then be converted to biomethane and fed into the national gas grid, which runs near the site. The development would require 3 main digester dome units up to 14 metres high and 30 metres in diameter. There would be smaller tanks too and ancillary buildings. The Motcombe meeting didn't really focus on the appearance as much as Shaftesbury Town Council's debate. Before tabling their objection, the town was concerned about how the units would appear when looking down from Castle Hill. The companies say there'll be screening to the eastern and southern boundaries with trees or hedges, but Shaftesbury Town Council don't believe trees will grow fast or high enough to shield this site. Most of the concerns aired in Motcombe were about impact on the road, traffic, noise, smells and a sense that this application had been hidden from view and that locals won't have a say. Councillor Will Dunlop looks after planning matters on the Parish Council and made their role quite clear. They can collect opinion, but they don't make the decision.
If you're hoping for a veto in this meeting, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed because we have influence over the decision, and that's probably putting it quite strongly. The decision will be made by Dorset Council. It's a fairly major application, so I would hope that it would go to planning committee rather than being made by what's called an officer decision, but I can't guarantee that.
Many locals felt in the dark about this application. They didn't know about it until there was a knock on the door from a friendly neighbour. Dorset Council no longer sends out mail shots about major planning applications.
I found out by accident because Mark happened to tell me, someone else told Mark.
Some locals in the meeting appeared critical of the Parish Council for not communicating the application.
I have never in my life of buying properties and living in places come across such a cock-up in communication. And that rests somewhere between this seat and those seats on the front and those not here tonight.
Parish Council Chairman Liam Stacey robustly defended the volunteers and admitted they were down on strength in that part of what is Dorset's biggest parish.
When something big like a solar farm or something comes along, or maybe a biodigester, everyone's very passionate about coming. And sometimes we have 120, 130 people here. Most of the time, with all that goes on in this parish, we couldn't give a hoot. No one cares. No one bothers to turn up. There's a few regular people here, but most of the time, you're quite happy to let the Parish Council get on with it, not read their website, not read communications on either Facebook and other things that we put out. No one attends. And I do appreciate your frustrations that because of this bizarre system that you only get a notification on a telegraph pole, and perhaps you should think that we should go and knock on doors, but one of the reasons it's nice to have as many parish councillors as possible from such a diverse range is that parish councillors that live in your particular area, whoever you are within the parish, will be able to communicate things directly to you.
It's not easy trying to work out how many additional vehicle movements there'll be each day if this plant is built. One local looked at a comparable Warwickshire site.
It's about the same sort of size and producing about 10 million cubic metres of methane annually, and it reckoned on 260 truck movements a day.
The company say on average over 18 months there'd be 100 two-way daily trips. Dorset Council consider the traffic plan robust with a widened entrance to the site to improve visibility. They've got no objection, but have made some recommendations. It is a long straight road. Resident Pierre Jourdan felt it was an accident waiting to happen.
It faces east-west, so early morning, late afternoon, major issues with sight.
And in doing the claim, because it's a straight road, everybody's frustrated, they all want to overtake on the road.
Nearby neighbour Mrs Hopkins is worried about the impact on wildlife.
Pollution of nearby ditches, which leads to a freshwater lake with wildlife, harmful to a large population of bats and owls.
And Long Cross local Karen Tippins said there were clear protections that had to be in place with important natural sites nearby.
I went through what Natural England stated, because as you know there's about 11 acres of site of special scientific interest very, very close by, and they stated that that permission must not be granted until there's a certificate, and there needs to be a construction environment management plan and landscape ecology and management plan, and so based on that alone it's procedurally incomplete.
The company say they'll include biodiversity boosting measures, but they don't go into detail.
The noise of the reversing alarms of the tractors and the telehandlers will echo throughout the valley instead of bird song.
Resident Mike Farrow there, and the company doesn't address dark skies, a concern for some residents, including Mike, in an area edging the Cranbourne Chase National Landscape, a dark skies reserve of global importance.
We have the darkest skies remaining in southern central England. Gas flaring 24/7 from the anaerobic digestion facility will ruin the night sky.
Mike says the Cranbourne Chase National Landscape's chief astronomer is unhappy and would be writing to say so.
I also have an email from Mr Stephen Tonkin, Dark Skies advisor, who has contacted his principal landscape and planning officer, who would like time to respond.
Well, the company say there'll be a flare stack on the southern side of the site, which they say will be used infrequently for maintenance or emergencies.
Going back to the flares, are they going to be elevated or ground level?
I didn't mention that.
Flaring is a criminal loss of the product. So I would say that flaring is likely to should be minimised. It shouldn't be a 24/7 occurrence. It's indicative of either the plant going into some emergency condition or it's not being run properly.
Much time was spent discussing potential odour. The companies say the risk of smells emitted from normal operation will be minimal. They'll seal the units to prevent leaks. But Parish Councillor Mandy Mason worked in the biogas field, and she says the smell will be noticeable and will be significant.
I can't believe anybody would say it doesn't smell. I've been to plants from all over the UK, and I've never been to one that doesn't smell.
No.
So that means flies too. For the smell brings flies, doesn't it?
I would imagine, yeah.
It was clear that many locals had read the pages of documentation on the Dorset Council website, and there were some challenges about accuracy and information. Winds will determine how far odours travel, but a comparison seems inaccurate.
A wind report for Lark Hill being a similar place. Now, I lived in Lark Hill. It's nothing like it. It's Salisbury Plain. This is completely different.
So why do they want to build this plant on the Sherborne Causeway? It's on the national gas grid, easy access to the pipeline, and local Phil Lever also reckons a major power line that runs nearby could bring further renewable energy generation. If this is approved, more could follow.
If you look at Camper and Magna down in Hull, obviously the gas was generated off of a landfill site down there, but that gas was used for gas turbine generator to produce electricity. And this is going very close. I don't know if it's the 132 or the 32 kVA line that goes through there. So if the gas, then this could be the first step. We would want to be very careful that following this could be an application for gas generators to produce electricity.
Not a single resident in the packed meeting was in favour of this project. Mrs Hopkins has launched a petition, but Parish Councillor Will Dunlop was keen to encourage people to write to Dorset Council individually, saying it adds more weight.
If you want your voice heard by Dorset Council, can I strongly recommend that you make a direct appeal to them? Don't regard your signature on a petition as carrying the weight.
One of Motcombe's 3 Dorset councillors, Liberal Democrat Carl Wood, was present in the meeting and told Alfred he'd report back discontent about Dorset Council's communication about this major scheme, a point that was made by several residents during the meeting. They wanted to have been told about this. Carl will support the Parish Council's request for elected members, a committee, to discuss this planning application rather than council officers, but he can't give a steer on how he'll vote if he gets to vote.
I'm on the planning committee, so I can't be kind of predetermined in these things in case it does come to committee. So I'm going to take their opinions on board, of course. I'm going to raise those concerns. I've taken notes from today, so if it does come to committee at some point, I can raise those concerns as well and just see what the feedback is on that.
The closing date for planning responses is not clear from the Dorset Council website.
Do we know what our deadline is? It's not actually shown.
No, it doesn't show it on the application.
Motcombe Parish Council will ask Dorset Council if they'll extend the period by which locals can respond to the application.
It's not unheard of to ask for extensions. Yeah.
And the Parish Council resolved that following this significant turnout, they're going to ask the company return to Motcombe as they promised in their September presentation to answer residents' questions.
I think it would be a good idea to get them back because there are some very specific questions around what they're proposing and planning and how they intend to operate.
And returning to local suggestions that this is a fix or stitch-up.
Sat up until 2 o'clock last night, reading 97 pages with 70 link attachments. That looks to me like a done deal. You have semi-approval from the Highways Agency. You have semi-approval from the Environment Agency. There are numerous consultants. So this has been going on for, it looks to me, 22, maybe early 21.
And back to locals' comments that this is a fix or stitch-up. Parish Councillor Dunlop says he doesn't think that's the case, but clearly the information has not been accessible, and the process for objection seems to be stacked against the layperson.
There's a thing that one would normally see on one of these called a design and access statement, which it's not a formal requirement, but it's normal practice to include it, which is effectively a sort of explanation of any application for a lay person. And actually it's not included in the paperwork, unusually. It's the first one of this scale that I've seen.
We understand the closing date for responses is currently Friday. You can have your say on the Dorset Council website. Just go to the planning portal and search for